36, 37 of the counties actually adopted. I don't believe Cumberland County has adopted an ordinance or a resolution for the natural gas. I don't think they did anything on it. And Kurt, I see Kurt just walked in. Kurt, did I see though an advertisement in the paper by the county to consider it? Okay.
Yeah, we're not.
Okay, I thought I saw an advertisement. That's what I was wondering. Okay. But about 36 of the counties actually approved the ordinance or resolution to accept the fees. That meant that the municipalities in the county would then be entitled to the revenue source. I'm not aware of any counties at this time where they have said no and municipalities have voted to overturn or to, under the act, if 50% of the municipalities or 50% of the population, municipalities representing 50% of the population, decide to overrule the county commissioners, they can do so. I'm not aware of any that have done so at this moment. But as we move on, we have a couple other issues we want to look at. The Act permits zoning and does permit, zoning, it does permit drilling and all the other related activities such as compressor stations, gas lines, the pits. What I wonder about, it talks about zoning permits. And there's a 30-day review period, or 30-day review for a permit. Every municipality that has zoning issues a permit. Does that mean that the municipality can issue a zoning permit for these activities? And I would venture to say that I think so, yes. I think that every municipality that has the zoning can be in a position to issue a zoning permit that basically recognizes that well has gone in, or that pump station, or that pit, or that compressor station. Subdivision land development. I'm sure that many of you have, or across the state, we have subdivision land development ordinances. If you look in the municipal planning code of land development, I certainly believe that a wellhead, a road leading into the well site, the pond, the compressor stations, all constitute a land development issue. And the municipalities will have an opportunity, I believe, to take in consideration of the land development activities under the municipal planning code still. Okay? Compressor station gas wells, processing plants are permitted in all districts. I know that Jason has a model ordinance that he's going to show you and talk a little bit about, but he has a great chart in there that lays out the conditional use variances or permitted uses for all these different districts. I bring in a point here of especially compressor stations and pumping activities, because that's going to be a major aspect of the future of the Marcellus gas, where we're at right now. Go ahead. Well, we talk about does prohibit or grant conditional use for well sites within zoning districts. Again, we can drill any place. They can put it, but there are restrictions in relation to existing buildings, occupied buildings. Impoundments, again, no closer than 300 feet to an existing building. Diane? Compressor stations, again, they're permitted within the agricultural districts. But I want to put in this aspect of it, compressor stations means there's going to be a pipeline. And pipelines are going to be essential for the natural gas issue. We do know that under the market right now for natural gas is extremely limited. There's over, I think, 1,800 wells in Bradford County, I think right about now. Pennsylvania puts the total somewhere around 6,000, 6,500 wells. They're drilling them as fast as they can. Last week there was 101 drill rigs working in Pennsylvania. The highest was a year ago at 114. We have seen that number just fluctuate right around 100. But there's going to be a question, have we reached our peak on natural gas drilling? We were talking a little bit about that ahead of time. I don't know what the true answer is. The supply of natural gas, you can see over the last several years, it continues to grow, and this is the Marcellus. It has a huge supply availability, but it needs a market. Go ahead. Bradford County with 1,800 plus wells. Harrisburg, and you can see the green lines. This is a map provided by the PUC just the other day. Our transmission lines or gathering lines, primarily transmission lines because of the size of this map. But you can see there's very little lines or gas lines that carry the wells from the northern tier down to the Harrisburg area or further south. Diane? This happens to be a gas line or map of both the gas lines for both interstate and intrastate. And again, this is looking at the northeast. There are some major lines running across from the east to west, the northern part of the state, as well as the central, but primarily they're running east to west. So we have a fair amount in the very north where we had the original gas drilling. Go on. Exporting of natural gas. Well, we have 9 different ports on in the east coast where natural gas can come into. Right now, it doesn't go out of the United States. What we're going to have to look at in order to increase the market and increase the fees is these ports are going to have to be able to use natural gas to carry them out. But again, going back to the very first part, the amount of natural gas worldwide is increasing. So it's a question, are we going to pump natural gas down here to Maryland or New York or any place else and put it on ships under compressed purposes and ship it out to China, England, Africa, where they already have the same capabilities? We look at the fees collected, and they will be collected and deposited into the Unconventional Gas Well Fund. Part of that money will become right off the top from the state. There will be some winners, as we call it, the conservation districts, fish and boat, DEP, emergency management, right on down the list. One of the areas that has potential for municipal governments, and they really need to look at, is that the Natural Gas Development Fund. This is an opportunity for municipal governments to convert their vehicle fleets to natural gas. Now, the problem is in Pennsylvania, currently right now there are 7 natural gas filling stations in the state. One in Dauphin County, one in State College. I think there's one in Gettysburg, if I remember right, Pittsburgh. We need to be able to look at this, but municipalities can join together, develop an authority if they wish to purchase vehicles and retrofit their vehicles or buy new ones. The cost of retrofitting a vehicle to natural gas can range anywhere from $8,000 to $15,000. It's not going to be cheap. New vehicles coming off the line can be purchased. Dodge has a pickup right now that they're going to sell off the line already available for natural gas. The second major one that's going to be an impact for municipalities is the Housing Affordability and Rehabilitation Enhancement Fund. There's a lot of money that's going to be available coming back from both the state and from municipalities that is going to be able to fund housing activities. No municipality is going to get greater than $500,000. That's a township or borough, no greater than $500,000 or 50% of their total budget. So there's going to be a very limited amount of money it's going to be able to come to. Even though you might have some municipalities that are entitled to significantly more money on paper because the number of wells they have or proximity to, $500,000 is the max they're going to get. The remainder of that money is going to be turned back to the state. Under the environmental protection aspects, the drillers are required to give proper notice, 24 hours. They increase the mandatory setbacks. These are all things that residents were looking for, though in many cases looking for much stronger and more detailed or more restrictive regulations. PSAB has on its website, and in the very first slide, I did have it, and very easy. If you Google it, I'll be glad, or you need it. We do have a model ordinance that was prepared for us from our legal counsel that we're passing out to our municipalities on the natural gas for Act 13. And I kind of raise that right now that I'm not spending a lot of time talking about, per se, the ordinance, the model ordinance, again, go on, because we've had a change. The Public Utility Commission this afternoon, or actually this morning, has put a stay on the implementation of the final order for Act 13. And it deals with the issue of the court cases that have appealed, have been awarded, I should say, to the municipalities, and the questioning of the zoning implications of Act 13. The courts have, or PUC has asked for an expedited review with the courts. We don't know what that means. We don't know when that's going to happen. That is of today. I will tell you that no one thought that the municipalities would meet, so far, even be as successful as they have. They've basically had before the courts and got a hearing where no one thought that would even be happening. and the fact that they were able to get a delay of the implementation of the Act 13 for the zoning ordinances was being continued until December. No one thought that was going to happen. This is a change. We didn't expect this from the PUC at all. I put on the PUC originally, this is a huge change in local government. No other time has the PUC been involved in land use decisions for Pennsylvania municipalities. This is huge. We do think that it's going to be a challenge. The PUC is going to have to ramp up tremendously. Their ability to review ordinances is going to be extremely limited. They want you, if you're going to have such an ordinance where you make your changes, they're going to want you to tell them what part of your ordinance doesn't comply with it now and what parts of your ordinances that are going to be changed to meet their compliance. So in essence, they're really asking you to do most of that work. Can we go on? Finally, I don't know what's going to happen in the future on Act 13. I think, if I was to venture a guess, I think it has a good chance of being overturned. I believe, in my own personal, and I will tell you that probably in our office there's a dozen different opinions, and among our membership at least 900 different opinions of what Act 13 means and it's good and bad or not. I think there's a chance that it will be stopped. I do think there's an issue that the zoning will not be carried forward, and so, you know, do we spend our time and money right now, limited resources that you have, changing the ordinances, advertising, hold the hearings that you're going to need to do, and pay the legal work? It's going to be questionable. I would hold off at this point right now. But I do think Act 13 is going to be one of those issues that we're all going to have to be careful of and watch very closely, because if the courts decide that it's going to go forward, there's going to be a limited period of time which we will be able to make our changes to our ordinance. I know places in Cumberland County right now, many municipalities are updating their zoning ordinances. Across the state, we've seen the same thing. We're telling people, you know, if you're going to have to prepare anything, go with the new ordinance, go with the model ordinances that are available out there, and take a close look at what you might want to keep in place.